Kitchen once again here at Trails End 62. Today we're going to be doing some more pressure canning, and today it's going to be pork. We have some pork we're going to be pressure canning, and we haven't done any pork before. We've done bacon, we've done hamburger, but this is a sirloin end pork roast, and we've cut up our pork roast. I got a good deal on it here. 99 cents a pound. So I've got some. They were boned in and I had to cut them off the bone, but that's okay. We saved the bones and make good soup bones for later on. So we're going to start today with canning pork roast, cutting it up and pressure canning. We are going to be doing a raw pack rather than par cooking it and putting it in. I just like the raw pack, mainly because it's simple, it's easier to do. The results are a little different, but we're going to go with raw pack and can some pork. Okay, to get started here, we have our jars soaking in scalding water. And we've got our meat. We've chopped it up, cut it up into cubes, and it's ready to go into the jars. And like I said, it was 99 cents a pound for this. It was on the bone. We cut it off the bone. And it was about 3 pounds per package, a little more. So we got a little over 15 pounds minus the bone. So this is what we're going to be canning. We're going to be using pint jars because that pretty much makes as much as we need for my wife Juanita and I. And then we've got everything ready to go. We have our hot water boiled and we have our lids ready to go in. Our caps there ready to go in. I like to boil the water and then shut it off and then put the flats in the water in order to soften them up a little bit. And some people don't, because they do get softened up in the pressure canner. Got my pressure canner here, got some water in the bottom of it. A few inches of water, 3 inches I think, maybe 4, because it has to pressure can for so long. I want to make sure I don't run out of water. And I got a little vinegar in there, splash of vinegar in there, keeps it from hard water deposits on the jar. So with a little vinegar in the water, and because we have exceptionally hard water. And then I have vinegar here in which to wipe the jar rims off with, because that takes the fat and the grease off of it better than just plain water. And you always want to make sure you wipe your rims before you put your flats on there in order to keep them clean so that they will seal. So let's get started here and we'll start packing our jars down into the jar. And like I said, we want to pack it pretty tight. We're going to get it in there. And as we get our meat in there, then we'll tamp it down, and we'll probably pack it in there pretty tight, because it will, as it cooks, it will lose volume and create juices, but it will decrease in the size of the meat. The meat will shrink. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay, here we have the jars packed with the meat. We packed them pretty tight, and what we're going to do is you can put about a half a teaspoon of salt in each one if you want to, but I am going to use a ham base rather than salt. You can use a pork base if you can find one, and I'm just going to put a half a teaspoon of the ham base in the top of each one of these jars. I have done it in the bottom before. When I do chicken, I've used raw packed chicken. I'll put the bouillon base in the bottom of the jar when I first did it, and it seems to burn on the bottom of the jar before it mixes in with the moisture. So after that, I started putting it in on the top of the jar. So what we have, that boned in roast that I had, I cut out the bone and I came up with 10.5 pints of pork. So I will do it in my large canner so I can do a double stack and get it all done at once. Alright, once I've got the bouillon in, I'll take me a paper towel here and get it dipped down into the vinegar. And then what I will do is I will take this and I will wipe the rims of the jars off really good The vinegar cleans off the fat and everything off the jar, and we need to make sure that it's wiped off really good. So I'll wipe each one before I put the lids on. Okay, once we have these wiped off good and they're clear, our next step is to put our flats on. Okay, we put our flats on, and then we're going to put our rings on. And the purpose of the ring basically is to hold the flats on and just finger tight. I have a tendency sometimes to make them too tight, but this is just basic. Okay, as I said, procedure. I have 10.5 pints. Now I can put 9 of these regular mouth pints per canner, so I just got a little bit more than a canner. So I'm using my double canner here, which I can put 2 layers of pints in it. So I'm going to put 6 on the bottom. I'm going to cover it with my other stand, and then I'll put the rest of them on top. And there they are. I have the rest of them on top. Now, understand about canning. Again, this is just basic canning. It's not the water in the canner. That water in the canner creates steam, and that steam, it goes out the top. That's why we let it vent, so that it gets all the air out, and so that it puts everything under pressure after the lid closes down. So it's the pressure and the heat that cook. It's not the water that it's setting in. The water is just to create the steam. So that's why we can use these double canners, and we can put 2 layers in here of pints, and we'll clamp the lid on. We'll get it started, and we'll let it vent for 10 minutes, and then once it's vented for 10 minutes, then we'll put our weight on it. Here where I'm at in Missouri, it's a 15-pound weight, since we're over 1,000 feet above sea level, so we use a 15-pound weight, and these pints we will do for 75 minutes. And there it is, lid's on, heating it up, and we'll let it heat up. The water will start boiling. It was hot water, but it wasn't boiling water. We don't want to crack our jars. And steam will start coming out here. And once we have a good steady flow of steam out there, this is the safety valve right here that operates when the lid is closed. That will seal, and that's when I start timing my 10 minutes to vent the canner. Once that's vented for 10 minutes, then my 15-pound weight will go on the top here, and then I'll start my timing once the weight starts rocking, and that means it's up to pressure, up to weight of the 15 pounds of pressure. And once that starts rocking, then I'll start my timing of 75. All right, and there we have it. Our pork roast canned. 10 pints and a half a pint. And as you can see, it's still bubbling pretty good there. They're still cooking. And they'll be good. We'll let them sit there, and they'll till tomorrow. We'll let them seal. We'll have pulled pork out of them. Mostly. There you have it. Canned pork. It's going to be good. I've got some hamburger going on now on the stove, and I'll get that done in just a minute. So, Trails End 62, from our kitchen to your kitchen. God bless.